without thinking how this all connects. Basically, for the direction they're taking this country in. You know, so like my point is, like, I'm not saying don't be sympathetic to that one cause. No, that's what motivates you. That's fine, but you got to look behind that big picture of what they're leading, how that all connects, and what they're leading to, basically. Especially like the let's see, the attack on the attack on liberal Gomorrahs like Portland, how the pretty much the Nazi protesters early, I think it was a month ago, were like, pretty much going right into that city. How they're focusing on pretty much areas of that require the critical thinking, or that go against basically what what the fascist agenda would be, or areas that would challenge a fascist agenda. You know, so
part of just one other little bit. Part of what Refuse Fascism put out from the very beginning, that fascism historically develops in stages. There's the shock and awe of things like El Paso and Gilroy mass murder, or the beginning right after with the Muslim ban. There's the shock and awe of that, but it also moves forward in stages, and things come down very heavy, and then there goes through periods where it seems like not as much is happening, and people are being normalized. So, but just think for a second here about, okay, there's the children in the concentration camps, but even as that's going on, law after law, what happened to the right of asylum? They just, they're passing laws, expedited removal of immigrants, not only El Paso, but days later, while the blood was not yet dry, 680 immigrants rounded up in Mississippi. But laws around asylum, laws around expedited removal, attempting to have anyone that has anything on in terms of social benefits and stuff would be denied the ability to become a citizen. This is the steady drumbeat of setting up a legal architecture of a fascist order.
How much of these stages were already in the status quo in order for it to happen? I know that you want to change the status quo, but it seems as if since these changes are so easily put into place, then the status quo was like this in the beginning. That's okay.
No, I think that's a good question. I think it's, whether you ask yourself, how did a fascist, not fully consolidate, and he wasn't shy about it. This wasn't a bait and switch largely when Trump ran. He ran on white supremacy and xenophobia, but there's a political process that brought him to power, including not winning the popular vote. And people should look if people who wonder about the electoral college should actually look at the history of it. It is part of what was established to defend slavery in the United States. But whether it's that or the history of white supremacy toward black people, there are deep roots that go all the way back to the founding of this country. And I was involved in the upheaval in the 1960s of some things that changed, some important things, breaking down some of the barriers of discrimination against black people and against women, the Roe versus Wade, the right to abortion. LGBT has fought like hell and begun to get some rights. And in one sense, what Trump-Pence represents is revenge on all of that, building a movement that wants to return to straight-up white supremacy, and including cleanse this country. Ethnic cleansing is not an exaggeration. That is what's going on. But also America, America über alles, America number one, America unrestrained around the world, openly brandishing nuclear weapons. So all these, so there's roots to it, but it's taken a very dangerous, deadly leap. And I think both parts of that, including how it's worked through the normal political process, which we can't rely on, is an important part of why the question you're raising is relevant.
And also, like when you mentioned ethnic cleansing, the attack on the legal statuses of Haitians and Central Americans, and even with a hurricane in the Bahamas, how, let's just say, people who are victims of a hurricane, for some reason, he's not letting them in the country. For some reason, we don't have the means to, I don't know what the weird excuse was, but like they're not being let in the country. These are desperate people, and they're basically suffering from a hurricane that's man-made. That this Trump-Pence administration is ignoring the science too. So basically, due to the attack on science, these people are suffering, and we're not letting them in. And it's obviously to keep the country white, because you don't see this kind of attack, at least on a mass level, to Eastern Europeans. You don't see this immigration attack on pretty much anybody from Norway or France. So.
Yeah, well, just to clarify, what you're saying is that the hurricane was caused by global warming, and at least many of the hurricanes are caused by global warming, and the Trump administration refuses to acknowledge that.
Intensified and exacerbated.
Yeah, I mean the climate change issue, of course, was before Trump and Pence. Obviously, we all know that. But what's going to exacerbate it and make it worse is this fascism in the White House completely ignores it. Because at least past administrations, whether it's Bush, Obama, or Clinton, they paid lip service to us. At least acknowledged it. Even as weak as the Paris Climate Accord was, at least it was an acknowledgement of it. But at the same time, if we ignore the problem completely, this planet will turn into a nightmare. So
I think what you just described is a status quo for environmental policy. And is there that status quo in racial policy that is in place that people don't recognize?
you mean like the environmental issue tied in with the racial issue, or?
Separate, because it seems as if what you're saying is that Obama and Clinton paid lip service to environmental policy without the U.S. actually doing more to improve the climate so that we could avoid global warming better.
Well, I mean, like I don't want to get too into Obama or Bush's environmental policies, but on some levels, I mean, to really solve climate change, to legitimately solve it, I mean, it's either gonna be, it's gonna be either the revolutionary means or basically, let's say if you do it within these means, someone would have to lose a lot of money to do it. Fossil fuel companies, all that, and basically they lobby people like Obama, Bush, and people in Congress and the Senate. But of course, that is in itself a separate issue, so I don't want to tie in too much to that. But if we blatantly ignore, let's say if we listen to fossil fuels and blatantly ignore the existence of climate change, and that's tied into white supremacy, because guess what? People in the islands who are suffering from the Caribbeans, like Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cuba, or even like, Bahamas recently, they're going to get the brunt of it. People in the Polynesian islands will get the brunt of it. And this Trumpist regime looks like they're not going to let them in.
I mean, I think you were also pointing to racial discrimination or civil rights, I think. And here's another example. Look at black and brown people have been murdered again and again by police with very little justice, almost no justice. Police get away with it again and again and again. That's been true historically. And under Obama, his Department of Justice didn't convict one cop for murdering a black or brown or anyone else, right? But what's the difference then? That's being put on steroids. Now you've got a regime that one of its first steps were to begin to tear down any of these consent decrees that were supposed to start to at least have some accountability. That was the hope, which didn't go there, but that was what, that was part of it. But then it's also, you've got a president. What does it mean in this atmosphere, in this society, where the president calls people in Baltimore rat-infested vermin? Is there anything about vermin and rat-infested, those epithets for a whole people? And that was a stand-in for all urban and black communities. Well, if it reminds you of Hitler, then you know something about history. You demonize and dehumanize whole groups of people while you're building up, both on the policy level but also in terms of street violence forces against them. Trump has never backed off from his threats to bring massive force into Chicago. Yes, there is a real problem among violence among the youth, but they're not talking about bringing in jobs and education or something to really meet the needs of people that are forced into a desperate life with no future. It's talking about locking that down into place, going from what is a slow genocide to a faster genocide. That's the difference. And it's not just things are getting worse. If this regime consolidates, it will be locked into place. So it will be very difficult to basically stand up against it. Yes, again, Nazi Germany did not get defeated internally. There was no resistance. But once it consolidated power, and this is true of many other fascist regimes, it was only removed from other countries.
Tell us a little bit about the events that are coming up. The Saturday event, the rally, and where, the times, and the one after that, the next day.
Yeah, why don't you take Saturday, David? Or Emily?
Yeah, Emily.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Saturday at Federal Plaza, we're having a We the People rally, and hopefully it's to pretty much have a rally against everything we just talked about that the Trump-Pence regime is attacking, whether it's women's rights, the environment, or ignoring the environmental crisis, as well as the concentration camps south of the border, and also the embrazoning of pretty much fascist brown shirts. We're pretty much hopefully from September 21st, and we'd like to keep sustaining a protest over and over and over, a massive one, or even hopefully do some actions as well. So we would like everyone to join us September 21st at Federal Plaza for the We the People rally. And we welcome all people of diverse beliefs. And even it's gonna be, from my understanding, at was it 1 p.m.?
Yeah, it starts at 1 p.m. There'll be a rally and there'll be a march also.
Yeah, so the rally starts at 1 p.m. at the Federal Plaza in Chicago, Illinois. At Federal Plaza, it's called the We the People rally. So.
Are there any other groups collaborating with you?
Do you know of any other
Well,
groups?
there are some, yes. I don't have a list. I mean, I know Freedom First International is one.
So are they actually international? They they have members beyond the U.S. border?
The members I know, it's focused on civil rights, and they're based in the South Side of Chicago, and they're religious-based organization fighting for civil rights. I don't know in terms of that. And there are other organizations. People should go to Refuse Fascism Facebook page, and it has updates, including a list of endorsers.
Refuse Fascism.
Go ahead.
No, Refuse Fascism Chicago Facebook page,
Yeah,
and we're also Refuse Fascism Chicago on Twitter and Refuse Fascism Chicago on Instagram as well.
Right.
What about Amnesty International? Have you approached them? Has anybody in that organization helped you?
Well, I mean, again, we've been we've been together in protests or conferences. Amnesty International that's not. I guess to describe, we collaborate with a lot of people, but on the mission, again, WZRD. On September 22nd, there will be a meeting, a national meeting. It's happening in Washington, D.C. That's the weekend of both the biggest of the We the People marches, as well as a big climate strike action on Monday and of course Friday. Both here will be involved in something initiated by student and environmentalists, that action. But on Sunday in D.C. there is a meeting, and here's what it's about: to consider and make plans to begin sustained nonviolent protests in the streets beginning in October. And so people from Refuse Fascism chapters will be coming to that, and with its national leadership, to talk about the moment we're in and the understanding of, in short, about if not now, when, and if not us, who. And both break that down in terms of what's been learned and in terms of what we have to do, and start to actually make plans in that direction. So you are invited and encouraged. You can watch it. You can watch it on live stream at home, but in particular, we'd love for you to come and watch it with us. It's at 11 a.m. in D.C. That means it's at 10 a.m. in Chicago. We'll be having a gathering at 5252 North Broadway, just below Berwyn, at the About Face Theater building, so we can watch it together. But again, it will be live streamed, and it's going to be simply posing that question of considering and making plans around beginning that sustained protest to drive out Trump in October, and steps to get there, and learning from the lessons of people in Puerto Rico and Hong Kong, and applying that to what's going on here.
You said that students and environmentalists plan much of that rally on Friday.
That's right.
On Saturday. Okay, what students from what schools?
You mean the climate change strike?
Yes.
That's the thing on
the
Friday.
people.
No, I'm sorry. When I was referring to the protests on Friday, that's a climate strike, and it's there's a number of go to Facebook page. There's a number of organizations focused on, it's part of a movement that was inspired by Greta Thunberg and by brave many high school students who have walked out of class because they recognize no one is going to save us, or at least that's the impetus, and that the world is at stake, and they have to act, So we'll be going there to that as well.
And that's separate from Refuse Fascism.
That's right, that's
Mhm.
right. That's initiated by a number of organizations.
What, do you know the time and location for the Friday event?
Well, it's meeting in Columbus Park at Roosevelt, and then it marches to Federal Plaza. Do you want to know the timing of that? Both the rally and Grant Park, and then marching over to Federal Plaza.
Maybe where they could, where interested listeners could
Yeah.
find it on Facebook or on social media.
Mm-hmm. You can search for the Climate Strike Friday.
Yeah, I would go on Facebook, sure, for Climate Strike. I think the Sunrise Movement has involvement. They would look up their Facebook page as well.
Extinction
so.
Rebellion is also an endorser of the
Yeah,
Friday
exactly.
protest.
What is it? What's the
It's a
name?
group called Extinction Rebellion.
Okay.
They're the ones you hear about, including in London, where they basically shut the city down, demanding, that the destruction of the environment stop.
Extinction Rebellion. Do you have any idea where in the world that organization started?
Well, I think certainly when you
England.
talk about it, you know.
It was in England, from my understanding, and I know that some of the actions in London inspired chapters open, I think, in Ireland and as well as all over the United States, actually. So, yeah, and I think it's in a sense is a coalition of different people that see the threat of climate change, and some electorals aren't also, just like our refuse fascism at certain levels, and they basically want to do a mass movement to pretty much save the environment. So.
Who is the founder of Refuse Fascism, and where was it founded?
It was founded on mid-December 2016, a month after Trump's election. There was a grouping of people that came together and called an emergency forum in New York City at Cooper Union, I believe. And you can go back, and I think we probably still have the video of that, and there was a range of people, including environmental scientists and intellectuals and artists, as well as activists, both revolutionary communists as well as pacifists, people coming from different perspectives, but again, the dividing line was, this is an emergency. We have to act. And the stress that people have to, come together and put aside differences around, look, there's a lot of things we have to talk about in terms of kind of in the fullest prospect, but unite around this single demand, and then, as we talk further about how to carry it out, but then also about where to go in the future and those kinds of things. Sorry.
Oh, real quick about the environmental rally that we talked about recently. I just got a text from someone saying it's going to be at 11 a.m. in Grant Park.
Yeah.
So.
For Refuse Fascism, do you receive any funding? I don't think that you receive any funding from the government, but do you receive any funding from private organizations? Because it needs, it seems as if you need a lot of resources in order to do what you do.
We do ask for donations. We do. You can go to refusefashion.org to donate. You can find a way going through, or you want to Refuse Fascism Chicago. So we do accept donations, and we do request to either donate or become monthly sustainers. I'm a monthly sustainer. I don't have massive means, but whatever minimal means I do have, I do contribute monthly. So if you could afford $500 a month, I'm not stopping you, of course. That would benefit humanity. Or as little as $5 to $10 a month. I think this is a cause worth either donating to or, better yet, sustaining for as well. So
We need your funds. We need your resources as well as your skills and your creativity. And we have had fund drives, and we are ongoing in terms of raising the kind of money, because you can't get a message out boldly in this society, nor can you have a national office and a center without funding. That's why it's so important. Right now, we've had a national office in the past, and it's been very, very important, and it still functions, exists, but it doesn't have an office in New York City. And that's one of the immediate fundraising needs. You can think about the time we're going into and trying to launch this ongoing mass sustained protest, and to reach out and strategize with lots of people and organizations, to send organizers into the hot spots, whether it's El Paso or other places where the atrocities have been carried out or people are standing up. Your donations, again, go to refusefashion.org/donate, are the oxygen for a movement to be able to continue to grow. So thanks for raising that.
What is your advice for students to choose to choose for which organization to volunteer?
Because this question is directed towards students and I just graduated from college, I feel like I do have a little bit more insight on that than them. But,
We're geezers. No, I'm kidding.
but, I would say the biggest thing is make sure it's something you care about, you're passionate about. You know, anything you volunteer for, it doesn't have to be necessarily politically motivated. Like, I know one of the big things I did when I was in college, I was in a board and card game club. I mean, it was something that was fun for me to do. It was something I enjoyed. I think overall, more than anything else, when you're looking for something to volunteer for, is to, and sorry, just a second.
Just let me turn this back on. That one actually. Okay. Yeah, I'll wait for you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Cause my CD is full already too. It's a really good interview. So let's just keep. I'll connect all these videos together whenever you're ready.
Okay.
We
covered-
it's fine to wrap it up soon.
I know. Wait.
We
I was.
appreciate
I
your
was.
time.
Yeah. I was planning to.
But,
Here. Hang on.
sorry. Alright. The biggest thing is just make sure that it's something you enjoy, make sure that it's something that you care about.
And why should students volunteer with the Refuse Fascism? Just, you've described it very well in the past hour, but let's wrap it up and give us like about 3 sentences why they should volunteer with you.
I think students should involve themselves with Refuse Fascism because, you know, we need the Trump-Pence regime, basically, it needs to go. And we can't do that on our own, and we need help from anyone from every walk of life imaginable, and students are a great way to get involved with that.
Real quick, I wanted to mention, is it 7 p.m. tonight or 6:30?
7.
Yeah, at 7 p.m. tonight, we have a mass meeting in regards to the September 21st planning of the rally of We the People. It's at Edgewater Presbyterian Church. The address is 1020 West Bryn Mawr Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. Once again, Edgewater Presbyterian Church, 1020 West Bryn Mawr Avenue in Chicago. It's near the corner, it's in the Edgewater neighborhood, near the corner of Bryn Mawr and Sheridan. So, if you're interested in coming to the rally, of course, come to the rally. If you're interested in knowing more about the rally or having ideas or getting to know what the heck is this Refuse Fascism thing about, or what we talked about interested you, stop by the meeting and do not be shy. Because my first meeting, when I just popped out of the street and walked in my first RF meeting, I was actually quite nervous and was like, well, I know enough, will I da-da-da, will I sound like an idiot when I talk? Like, honestly, don't worry about that. One, we all gotta start somewhere, but two, no matter, irrelevant how well versed you are in fascism, history, or whatever, it is my opinion, it's your duty to fight fascism and fascist consolidation, as well as don't underestimate your own power, your own input. Irrelevant how many books you read, or books you have not read, that's not relevant. You are of worth to provide input and to contribute as well. We need everyone. So.
Let me just encourage you to go to refusefascism.org, and especially, as well as other social media of Refuse Fascism, and make sure to read the call for the Washington, D.C. mass meeting on September 22nd, which again is, you know, arguing for and laying out and wants to bring you into the question of considering and making plans to launch sustained, nonviolent mass struggle to drive out the regime. Then read this. This is the mission statement of Refuse Fascism. This nightmare must end. Trump-Pence regime must go in the name of humanity. This is a precious. It both goes into and explains why this is fascism and its trajectory and its momentum, and it also breaks down the strategy. There's things that'll work to stop it, and there's things that won't work, and this goes into that. So refusefascism.org is really a very, very valuable resource, and it's a way you get connected, as well as through Chicago's Refuse Fascism Chicago Facebook page, to learn more and get connected. And come with your questions, come with your ideas, good or bad ideas, but if you feel impassioned about you will not accept where this world is going and what this regime is doing and threatening to do further, then you need to be with us. We need to come together as a community with a lot of joy, as well as a lot of seriousness. That's there's moments in time where a lot rests on what a relatively small number of people do first to help initiate broader numbers of people to meet the challenge of great historical need.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Lou,
you.
David and Emily for joining us on Wizard Today, WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. Good luck to you, and good luck in all your events that are coming up.
Thank you, WZRD.
You're welcome. Yeah, the camera keeps on going off, so I'm assuming that I used up all my storage space. Let me just like go.
Oh, you don't have, you got a lot of equipment here.
I know, yeah. Okay. Let me
This is
bring
quite a control room. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was looking at this stuff.
So you videotape all your stuff?
I started to recently, like about in my last 3 interviews or so, because I want to put it all out there. The more people watching it, the better. And the people, I think we get more hits and viewership by putting a video out.
Oh, this is like your own or a ZRD?
It's my own.
YouTube.
It's my own.
YouTube.
Mine. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I'll spread it.
Are
yeah.
you
Oh, thank
studying?
you.
Yeah, of
Are you
course I will.
studying?
Oh yeah, I'm
What is that?
master's in political science. I graduated with bachelor's in business administration and minor in political science.
And where was your undergrad?
That's it.
Oh,
BA.
I thought you-
Here.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
wait, so you're in grad school now?
Yes.
Okay, but your
Master's
college education is here at NEIU.
Oh yeah. Well, not the entire. I graduated with my associates in Wright College, and then
Okay, yeah,
moved
okay.
everything over to here.
You look familiar. Which jewels you work at? 'Cause you look really familiar.
Brickyard. Do you live around there? Brickyard by Narragansett and
Yeah,
Fullerton.
you may have used to.
Yeah, you know my dad. My dad's like a celebrity there.
Oh.
Like,
Oh. Who is it?
his name's Anthony or Tony. He's a big husky Polish guy. He talks to everyone. Like every time I go in that store with my dad. Hey Tony, it was like literally, it's like everyone knows my freaking dad at that store.
Were you aware there was a lot of Polish-speaking people that?
Yes.
Oh, you were. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I just moved out of there because I lived on Grand and Harlem recently. I moved up north. I moved out there I moved out of the area 3 years ago.
Oh well.
No, 3 months ago. I grew up I grew up in that neighborhood. You know where Fulton Cicero is?
Cicero? Yeah, I know where that is, but
Yeah.
I don't live
Okay.
around there. I live by where I work, about 7 blocks away.
Oh,
So I
okay.
always walk there, and I've been there for 7 years. I just got my 7-year pin.
I grew up
Yeah.
not far from there. Yeah, that's my old.
And did you grow up in Chicago?
Yes.
What high school did you go to?
Notre Dame for girls.
Oh, Notre Dame. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Where is Notre Dame for girls?
It's on Belmont and Central. One of my ex girlfriends who I was with for a long time. She was an administrator there.
Oh.
My aunt went to high school there.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Do you know Miss Oberfeld?
Do you know Miss Over?
No.
My aunt might, but I don't.
They call her Miss O sometimes, but yeah.
Oh.
She was an administrator. She worked in the college.
And how'd you get interested in politics when you were young?
I really wasn't. It really wasn't. I was just working, and then I liked marketing. So my store director said, if you get 4 years of college, then you could work in the marketing at the headquarters. I said, wow, that's cool. But then once I arrived here, I wanted to take international business courses, and then there were only 3, but I took them all, and then I had to change my major in order to fit them in. So I became a business administration major, and I kept on taking management courses. Those interest me the most. And then in like about 2.5 years ago, I was looking around for internships. I did intern at the Channel 20 PBS Chicago.
Sure.
Oh, really cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I submitted applications to Durban and Mike Quigley to intern with them, but they didn't return my email. So I got involved with the Chamber of Commerce because I have a a very good friend who interned with the Rogers
The
Park
Rogers,
Chamber.
I know that guy. I know you were with him.
Bill?
You were
Yeah, Bill
I met
Morrison.
him at a rally in front of the ice building actually.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
yeah.
I think we met there.
You were there also?
Yes,
Oh,
I
think you were
sang. I
there.
sang there too. I think.
You're the one that sang? I remember
Yes.
the person that sang. That's you. Oh my
Yes.
god,
No
yeah.
kidding. So you are an activist, huh?
I guess so.
Yeah, no, I remember some women, like some
What were you
woman
singing?
sang. It was you, yeah.
Colors of the Wind.
Yeah, I remember you sang beautifully too. I remember that very well. Yeah.
You have a background?
I remember your chamber of commerce friend. I remember him, but
Yeah.
You
yeah.
have a background in singing?
Well, I have a very good teacher. I had a very good teacher at Wright College. His name is Richard Gersten, and he sings like Robert Goulet. So
No, I can confirm she sings well. It hit me. That's you. Oh my god! Because I remember a lady was singing, but and I know I've seen you somewhere before too, like numerous places. But yeah, can't put a finger on it.
Yeah, here, let me give you Bill's card. If cause he's running for a committee person in the
Awesome.
49th ward, and he's going to try to get the vote out, and he will totally help you in this. And he'll if anybody in Rogers Park,
Because I spoke at that rally too. So yeah,
Yeah.
we
Oh,
actually
okay.
did cross paths. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
small world.
Yeah, we'll try to help you. And then if you know of anybody in Rogers Park, send them over, and hopefully they could help Bill get some petitions like knocking canvassing.
I
and
know
all
somebody
that.
that does a lot of volunteering. I'll talk to him.
Oh,
See,
good.
he might even know Bill, but yeah, I'll say.
Yeah. What's his name? Do you know?
Gus?
I don't know.
Oh, it's hard
Gus
not to know him.
Gonzalez.
No, there's a lot of people
Oh,
that
you
know
mean
Gus.
Gus. Okay.
A lot of people know Gus.
Oh,
I know
okay.
people I didn't know, that didn't think knew Gus, that knew Gus. Like,
Oh.
oh, that guy. They go, I mean, he's a great guy, but like, yeah, no. But they know Gus, yeah. He's
Wonderful.
very well liked actually in many circles.
Okay,
so, yeah.
Gus Gonzalez. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'll mention. I know I'm Facebook friends with Bill actually,
Mhm.
so yeah, I'll see if I can connect Gus up with those two. So.
Okay, wonderful. Hey, let me give you everybody my business card and
No,
Bill's
thank
business
you.
card, and then please let anybody that you know that's.
Actually, I wanted to bring some group of people up to you
Okay.
because I know we made a quick mention of the Revolution Club.
Uh-huh.
I of course I got the blessing prior to me bringing this up to you, but
Okay.
they're facing a trial because they got arrested
Oh,
at the
sorry.
Puerto Rican
And
Day
don't go
Parade.
anywhere, because I do want to do a photo shoot just in
Okay,
case
oh, that's
anything.
really nice. Thanks. Can I go to the bathroom or?
Yes, you can.
And-
And do you know where it is?
It's out. No, I
I'll
don't.
show you.
I'll wait till you get
Okay.
back. Yeah.
Just put this. As a radio
Awesome.
we have-
Thank you.
we have to
I tried.
do
I've never done this before.
You
so
were
it's
better than my first. My first time I was like stuttering. So yeah.
Yeah, like I did a lot of speech therapy at school when I was a kid, so I would stop stuttering, but sometimes it comes back.
I'm happy Lou came too because he was more acquainted with the meeting tomorrow. Because I would have been totally lost about the day after streaming. Like I remember I read something about I would have been lost in it. Plus, yeah, I'm actually happy you came actually. And Ivy texted me about the climate change. 11 a.m. Grand Park. I was like, crap. Okay, thanks. She was listening. She texted me. She was listening. But I'm also seeing if maybe it's possibly Harlan's media to cover us. Did you see the Harlan's media interview with Carl Dix? I'm proud to say I set that one up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, before Carl went on, he wasn't aware of the show, but I made Emma Kaplan kind of more. You met Emma, right? From
Yeah.
the tour. Like I made her. She's like, "Oh, this show has actually a following." I'm like Ivy and everyone, all these DSA people like love Kid Cabela, and like locally, he's like a big DSA scene is big here. And all of a sudden, like Emma, before, like 2 hours before he gets interviewed, Emma calls me up. Chris, Carl demands to speak with you. I'm like, what? Hi, Chris. I was like, hey, Carl, what's going on? What is this show about? I told him what the show is, and he's like, how did you pitch this? How did you pitch the tour to this show? How did you pitch this? And I was just like, and I got a little nervous. I'm thinking like, all right, I'm just bluntly be honest with him. And I just told him how I pitched it. All right, sounds good. Thank you. And he just hangs up. So,
Okay, let me change the CD, and then we'll here, let me get these chairs out of the way, because they're not too conducive for pictures later.
understood. What I was gonna say is, the Revolution Club. It's basically I mean, what they believe in is basically they represent the synthesis of new communism written by Bob Bacon, and
The what communism?
The
Right.
new communism,
New
right?
communism.
Bob Bacon.
Okay, Bob Bacon.
yeah,
I saw
well-
that a little post on your Facebook page
Yeah.
about him.
He did this. Well, they got arrested at the Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of an unjust arrest where like they got on the mic. As what happens, they were speaking, and eventually the police officer went up to them. Can you move over and just not block this? So they listened to the police officer. They moved over, and the officer said, "Just move over, stay there, let people cross through. You can scream all you want. You can shout all you want. You can say whatever you want." So they obliged. They were like, "Okay, sure." So they stepped back. People were going through, and they were speaking. And another cop walks up, and it was like, "What's going on here?" And then they get tackled by the police. And me, I've been personally witnessed police attack on them because they were when it comes to the Laquan McDonald case.
You
Jason Van
have
Dyke,
witnessed it, or you have?
I have.
Yes.
I have witnessed a harassment. Like for example, I know with the Laquan McDonald case with Jason Van Dyke trial, they've been on the forefront protesting it every single day, very active in front of the court building. And so maybe that's the reason. I'm not sure. But like for example, when we were doing when there was a protest in Lincoln Square, and I was with Refuse Fascism. I'm agitating, on the megaphone, doing chants, and the police they give me dirty looks, but they don't do anything. They don't do anything with me. And then one of my friends from the Revolution Club, like he's doing the exact same thing as me, but he's like way behind me, like maybe like I would say 3 blocks in between, and he's way behind me. He's almost doing the same chants, nearly.
Yes.
And the police stop him, and they're harassing him.
Right.
And the people scream, "Shame, shame!" They let him go. And then at the very end, when he's speaking, police come and they all of a sudden surround him, the speaker at Lincoln Square. And I put on the camera, and I put when like 4 of us put cameras on. And the one police officer just looks at me like this, and all of a sudden looks at it, and it's like ready to attack me even. You could tell, I sense he wasn't going to be friendly with me. But I still kept taping because one, I'm not cussing the police officer. I'm staying quiet. It's like you're going to attack me for being quiet and filming. I'm not even taunting the guy. But I've seen the harassment myself personally.
Yes.
If you'd be interested in interviewing one of the people, not me, but one of the people in the case, what do you think?
Well, I've got an opinion about that. Just hang on, let me change.
Well, you
this.
can bring it up to them and talk to them about it.
Well, what happened is that one of my good friends, she went on the newspaper and protested, brought her concerns about Sean Spicer, and she's on the front page. I already showed Lou. He'll bring the paper back. We might have a copy out there. So on the day of the Sean Spicer event, she spoke that when Lou said that someone spoke saying that they undocumented, etc., etc. That was her. And then another of my friends told me that she was drinking out of the water fountain, and she wasn't doing anything. And the police later threatened to arrest her.
That was during the rally, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You saw it?
I heard about it afterwards. Like at the rally, I heard about it afterwards.
Right. And so it was her. So she evidently kind of got blacklisted. They know who she was. I asked my friend what was she doing, and he said nothing. And so that it's the same episode. It's like a repeat, only different people, different place,
people,
but
yeah.
same modus operandi.
I don't know, I mean, obviously I'm not one of the people in the case, but like, if you want to, I don't know if you'd be interested in setting up a time to meet with 1 or 2 of the people in the case. There are pretty much the defendants
Is
in
Maya
the
a
case.
defendant?
I think she is. Yeah, Maya's one of the defendants in the Puerto Rican Day Parade case.
The same Maya I was talking about.
Same exact same Maya. Yeah.
11 minutes of silence at
Okay.
University of Chicago.
Yeah. Well, same thing as in the girl in the newspaper that I showed you.